Hey everyone, it's Jenn here, and today I'm going to share with you a card set using the Lawn Fawn Happy Birthday border. I just love these really intricate dies that Lawn Fawn is coming out with. They also have a thinking about you one as well, so you could switch it up and do thinking about you cards or birthday cards. But for today we're going to do birthday, and I'm playing with a bunch of different distress inks. We're going to use the ink pads to create an ombre effect, and we're also going to use the spray stains to do a fun background. So I did a couple quick test strips just to see if I picked the colors correctly that I wanted to use, and I do like how these came out. So we're going to use create 3 cards with each color scheme you can see here. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to do is I'm going to use some distress watercolor cardstock, and I've already cut it to be about 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches, excuse me. And I have 3 pieces here, and so what we're going to do is first ink them up and make a fun ombre. One of the color schemes we're going to use is the Distress Ink Spun Sugar, Picked Raspberry, and Festive Berries. I tend to start light and go to dark, so we're just going to ink it up with the ink blending tool and do little circles. Spun Sugar is a really light color, so it's not going to be super vibrant, but that's kind of the effect that I want. Great. And now we're going to move over to Picked Raspberry. And don't worry too much about it looking really rough right there. I have a little trick for you as we go on, and I'll share with you in just a minute. And now we're going to use Festive Berries. I love this red. It's a really warm red, which I really like. You can see I'm just bringing the color into where the Picked Raspberries is. Great. So right now it looks a little rough, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with the Spun Sugar and overlap the Picked Raspberry, and that is going to help blend the color and get rid of that harsh line that was there. You can see just how it nicely softened it. And same thing, I'm going to take the Picked Raspberry and blend it into the Festive Berries. That's what's great about these distress inks, is they're so blendable and they really work nicely together when you're using multiple colors. So there you can see we have a really pretty ombre. We're going to set that aside, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 color schemes that I want to use. Just going to wipe off my craft sheet so that if there's any extra ink on there. All right, so for this next one, I'm going to be using Tumbled Glass, Mermaid Lagoon, which is a new color that came out this year, and Peacock Feathers, which is still my most favorite. So again, starting with the Tumbled Glass. Going to work with Mermaid Lagoon. And next we're going to use peacock feathers. Great. And now we're going to do our blending. Now you can see I had some pink on my fingertips. Hopefully when I re-ink over that to do the blending, it'll get rid of that. We'll go back with the tumbled glass. And then now we'll go back in with the Mermaid Lagoon. You can see pretty much that red disappeared, and you really aren't going to see it as we move on with these cards, and you'll see what I mean in just a few minutes. So you can see the really pretty ombre that's there. I'm going to set that aside. And then the next color scheme that I am going to use is mustard seed, twisted citron, which is also a new color from this year, and mowed lawn. This is a bit of a different color scheme for me. I'm definitely more a blues and pink girl, but I thought that this would be really fun to try the greens and yellows. All right, so we're gonna start with mustard seed. Really pretty bright yellow. And I'm going to use twisted citron. And you can see I have a different foam for each color, so the colors don't get tainted. As you know, some projects that you're using, you don't want to have any other colors in there. If you don't have a foam for each one, you can always rinse them as well and let them air dry. Twisted citron. And then we're going to do some mowed lawn. And then I'm just going to go back in with the mustard seed and the twisted citron to help blend it. Great. This is really, really pretty. Nice and summery. All right, so now what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to take the Happy Birthday border die, and I am actually going to die cut it right out of these ombre pieces of paper that I made. This is a great way to be able to add color to these really delicate dies, is to add the color to the paper first and then die cut out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So now I'm back with each of the die cuts, and you can just see how cute they are, all ombre, and how easily they were able to be cut out from those larger sheets. I'm going to set those aside right now, and I'm going to work on my backgrounds. I have 3 pieces of distress watercolor cardstock. I cut it to be 4 by 5 1/4, so it would be a little bit smaller than the cards I'm going to put them on. And what I'm going to do is splatter a background with the Distress Spray stains. Now, I really like to use these for this technique just because they're a bit juicier than using Distress ink on my mat with a water spritzer. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to want to work light to dark. So I'm going to start with the spun sugar. And I'm going to spray a little bit of it on my craft sheet, and then I'm going to spray some water as well. Oops. All right, so now that I have this on my craft sheet, I use a brush that has soft bristles just so that they'll kind of move when I go to splatter. So I'm trying to pick up a lot of that ink, and I'm just tapping it over the note card to add some splatters. In between colors, I'm going to heat set it with my heat tool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the picked raspberry, spritz that on my mat, and again add some water. I'm not really going to worry about cleaning my brush in between because I'm working from light to dark. The darker the color is, the less I tend to splatter it. Heat set in between colors. And now I'm going to do the last color, which is Festive Berries. And then I'm going to heat set it. And I'm going to do the same exact thing with the other sets of colors to make the other two backgrounds. So I'm speeding up this part of the video because it's pretty repetitive since we're making a set of cards, you know, the 3 different cards. So I've used mustard seed, Distress Spray stain, spritzing it, watering it down and flicking it, and now I'm doing Twisted Citron. Same exact thing as I did with the pink ombre background. I like to heat set the inks in between the colors so that they don't bleed together. It doesn't have to be heat set completely dry, but just enough so that the colors won't bleed together. I wanted them to at least keep their distinct 3 colors. Now I'm using Mowed Lawn. Also, normally if I wasn't filming, I would use that extra ink on my craft sheet and sop it up with some tags or some extra cardstock and, you know, create backgrounds for later. But for the filming process, I wasn't going to get into that. So now I'm working on the blue panel. I just added some tumbled glass. And now we're going to use the Mermaid Lagoon. And lastly, we are going to add some of the peacock feathers. You could also pick your favorite, you know, ombre color scheme and just make a stack all the same color. I was just having really a fun time playing with the different colors and coming up with a color combo and I wanted to show you guys how it would look in different color schemes. So now that the backgrounds are all done, I'm getting the note cards ready. This is some Black Ranger cardstock, and I've already cut it to be an A2 card, so I'm just scoring down the center. Folding it with the Teflon bone folder. This is a new little supply I got for myself. I've been coveting it for a while, but I finally splurged and got it. And now I'm just using my ATG gun to adhere the panels onto the note cards. And now I cut 3 black strips. These are 1 inch by 5.5, and I'm just adhering these onto the card. This is where the happy birthday sentiment will go so that it really pops off the card. Now I'm just going to use the Tim Holtz Tonic paper piercer just to get the little pieces of paper out of some of the loopy letters. This tool is great to just get in those little areas and punch the extra cardstock out. Now I'm using Tombow Multi-Mono Liquid Glue, and I'm using that to adhere the sentiments onto the card. So I am just taking it and dabbing over the whole back of the sentiment, and then I'm placing it where I want on the card and kind of just letting it be and letting it dry. Sometimes I do a large glob and, use my finger to spread it, but this paper is so thin, I just find dabbing it here and there is enough to adhere it. Once I have each of the sentiments on their cards, I decided I wanted to add a bit of sparkle. So I'm going to be using the Hero Arts Mixed Accents. These are just a mix of gems and pearls and rhinestones, and they're all different sizes in the same package. And the color schemes for these are perfect because they also come in somewhat of an ombre color in the package. So I'm using my quick stick tool, and I'm just adhering a few different ones in different sizes here and there, again, just to add a little sparkle. On each card, I did use a teeny one to dot the I in the word birthday. You'll see me do that in just a minute. So you can see all 3 cards here are done. They'll have a little bit of sparkle with some gems and pearls, and they have a really pretty ombre sentiment. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.